This is an era when people want to take an active role in their local communities. They want to learn new skills and share new experiences. They are looking for opportunities that are local, relevant and fun. In response to this, Nottingham City Museums and Galleries created an exciting new project that sparked off the imaginations of over 100 volunteers. In the autumn of 2009, they embarked on a journey together to bring the past to life. The project was based around the restoration of a vintage 1936 Brough Superior motor car, a significant part of Nottingham's cultural heritage.
I think it's good for the city. I think a lot of people here, I mean, I'm not one included, but a lot of the guys here are from Nottingham. So I think it's quite important for them because obviously it's a Nottingham-based car. It was designed here. I mean, not necessarily a lot of it built here, but it was all conceived here, and I guess it's part of the history as well. Which a lot of the times, I mean, we were talking earlier that a lot of the history's not really been brought up. About a lot of things happened here in Nottingham or around Nottingham, but we don't really celebrate them. So I guess I think it's accessible for everyone because of what it is.
The volunteers came from a range of backgrounds and age groups, and all came to the project for different reasons: to re-engage socially, to fulfil an ambition, for a new challenge, to develop skills, to stay active, to have fun learning, and overall, to be part of a community. The volunteers met up to get the car back to Rists, where the restoration was to take place.
I watched them turning the steering wheel, and the steering column seemed to be completely loose at the top, and turning the wheel didn't seem to have that much effect.
126 volunteers participated in 6 teams.
Well, there's lots of different opportunities to get involved for volunteers, lots of diverse roles that people can play depending on their interests. There's the restoration of the car, and people have been involved with physically transforming the car. There's also been the oral histories team. They've been interviewing people who may have known 1930s Nottingham or George Brough and his factory themselves, and trying to access information that we wouldn't have otherwise accessed. There's also been the research team that I've been part of. We've been looking through archives and trying to gain more documentary access, and we'll be putting together panels for the exhibition. And there's also been the film team who have been documenting the whole experience, from my team, which is the research team, and what we've been doing, to also the renovation of the car as well.
Part of the early challenge was how to get the volunteers to work together and how to organise such a large project.
It was definitely the hardest part, my first day there. But after that, I look forward to coming, The great thing about that, people were coming from all different disciplines, all different walk of life, and you sort of develop conversation with them, and I find that I was learning new things all the time. When we first went up to see the car, I thought, good gracious me, that's a wreck.
Space was made available so that the project had its own work area and a place where the volunteers could relax and also be briefed on the day's schedule.
And for you to put up with that big jigsaw down there and make it what it is now, you see the difference in the motor car. It's not a load of rubbish anymore, it's coming alive.
I thought, well, this is very professional, because obviously we were issued with boots and overalls and eye protectors. And I thought, well, this is good stuff, really.
Just the size of the challenge meant some people had to skill share, to work together and embrace the dynamics of teamwork.
I think we've done very well. We've all been keen on what we've been doing and have helped each other and discussed the components and where they go, and it's worked very well.
It's good to have people that have no understanding of it, because they sometimes bring in a fresh idea, a fresh point of view that you may not have thought about. So it's quite good to have a good, cross-section of knowledge, I suppose.
It's so artisan-based as well, that's what I like. People know so much, and they're imparting their knowledge to others. I'm on a steep learning curve, learning things all the time.
Logging all components was a labour-intensive process, but vital if the team were to be successful in the restoration.
It had to be done very carefully. Everything had to be photographed and labelled, so we knew where everything went back and there were no mistakes when it was restored and it was all put back together. Otherwise it would have been like a jigsaw without a picture to it.
Restorers at Rists are very experienced and were on hand to help the team take the car right back to the chassis. Exploring the history of the car and its origins helped make connections with Nottingham for many of the volunteers.
Here we are on the site of the former Brough factory on Vernon Road, and it has been replaced now by a modern housing estate, but it does allow the project to recognise the fact of where it was and the progress that has been made since. An important part of the project has been the social history. People have been given the opportunity to research the city and to find out about the city that they're now living in. We're at 10 Mandalay Street, New Basford. This is the house that was made by George Brough Senior and was the birthplace of George Brough.
I suppose one of the key differences that has emerged during the 20th century was the shift from what we might see as a craft-based industry, in which we would have individual or small groups of workers coming together to produce a particular unit, such as this here. The key thing about it is, of course, that it means that the worker has some sort of personal input into it, can see precisely what he or she has done in terms of the product's evolution.
I think as a young person coming to the project, the information that we're learning about and accessing really crosses the generations, and it's bringing people together in this shared history of Nottingham. I mean, it's really relevant for everyone now, even though we've passed the 30s. It's important to look back at how the 30s is affecting us now and to look back for where we've come from. It really makes sense of our heritage to be looking at projects like these.
Being at work alongside professional restorers allowed the volunteers to recognise the complexities of such a restoration and built new friendships.
You know, like you say, some of our enthusiasts, so they know some of the problems we're coming up against, and they've got their input and ideas, which sparks an idea for me. So yeah, let's try that avenue.
By the end of it, I'll know how engines work, all the parts of an engine, and quite looking forward to the whole project, really.
It's a feature of this that we've made friendships which have endured.
Get the reaction and the comedy of people's members in this group. There's definitely we've got a bond definitely in the group.
And there we've got, this is a 2003 wheel bin. Notice the two wheels.
And it was lovely to see them speaking together immediately and having fun.
This is the Brough Project. These are the people that have done it, and between us we have done so and so rather than I have done such and such.
This is the main workshop where we do.
The film team were given full access to the garage and its employees.
What we got were shots of the volunteers working on the project and the actual workers, and we just got interviews and actual work being done.
What do you feel you've gained from being part of this project?
I think you're getting good work experience, and it's good. It's a fun environment, being around everyone, and it's I think it's important to volunteer, even though you might not know what you're doing, but at least you're getting the opportunity.
I got into engineering through design, and I've always been interested in cars and history. So the two worlds together, you know, it was a good job for me.
On it, basically, and it's not far off getting painted. We're gonna start again, isn't it? Was that boring? I was meeting them before sleep there, sorry.
The exhibition attracted a great deal of visitors and prompted some interesting reactions. One aim was to demonstrate the background surrounding the Brough car and its manufacture.
If you had made your money quickly, you were part of the nouveau riche middle class of the 1930s, and you spent your nights in the local ballroom, went to the local jazz modern cinema, then you would have a Brough Superior. And during the 1930s, that Britain was a sort of technological workshop of the world, and we were very proud of this. And these aspirant motorists with their sports motorcycles, their Brough Superiors, were part of that milieu of technological advance. So they were indeed modernists, really, at heart.
For many of the volunteers, having the opportunity to work with the museum service allowed them to make connections with their own experiences.
My personal interest was the journalism part of it, to learn about the archives, which I have not been before.
So I've always been interested in Nottingham's history, for forever and a day really, but to have the time and the motivation to spend that time to do the research, which I would never have normally done in my day-to-day life, It's not part of my work area now. You know, I wouldn't have had the time to do it, but it's been great. You know, it's taken me back to the world of my grandparents in the 1930s.
The oral history is a very important thing, and they were produced by a group of people, and they're all part of the project. And it's so nice to see them 70 years later, some of them, and it would be nice to share their thoughts with the people of the coming age.
Relationships with team members built on respect from all sides and a desire to listen as well as contribute.
We have skilled personnel from RISTs to guide us and show us what to do, but without the volunteers the project just wouldn't run.
I learned a lot from Jeff because he's a 60-year-old man who has a lot of life experience.
It's keeping me interested in work, because otherwise I get depressed. For other people, they're learning new skills, which can open up new avenues for them. It feels like I've made some good friends here, actually. People who've come into the museum when I've been working on other jobs. And it's been good to learn from them as well. Everyone's come in with different areas of expertise. From what I've observed and what I've seen, that's been the advantage for most people, that have all learnt from each other, and they've all learnt from the project.
It's good because I think everyone's got their own sort of specific knowledge to bring to it. I mean, some people have a broader view, some people have a very specific knowledge about very specific cars, so it's nice that everyone has got their own little input, and I guess no one's stepping on anyone's toes. I think we're all contributing, and I think it's worthwhile contributions as well.
The different aspects and variety of options for learning was considered the programme's biggest strength. The flexible nature of the project led to it attracting a diverse group of people. Volunteers were keen to share their own life experiences and discovered many areas that were similar.
I remember one individual who was always keen to sort of join in the conversation with the old guys, as he put it. That means me. Because he said that he realised, you know, that sort of how much experience that they had of things that nothing to do with the car, but sort of generally speaking.
Basing a restoration project around a vintage car offered a platform for many to talk about what cars represent to themselves and others.
I don't go so far as to say cars have a soul, but they certainly have character. There's just something about them that just appeals, I think, and it's just the sad petrol heads of the day that enjoy playing with old cars. But they're great, I love them.
As the restoration took shape and the exhibition started to come together, the volunteers developed an increased sense of ownership.
You become involved in it, you've got a personal stake in it, and you can turn around and say, hey, I helped with that, and you get some self-respect and pride.
The fact that we had the time to look at other museums and look at other forms of restoration, places like Coventry Car Museum, where we met people away from RIS and the restoration place and away from the libraries and away from the meeting rooms. We looked at things, could apply and learn knowledge already, pick up additional things, and that there's kind of light-hearted social aspect of it, which I think was very good.
Part of the focus has been the opportunity for volunteers to bring their own thoughts and ideas to the project and allow them to be heard.
When I entered the world of work, there was a great deal of work around. A skilled man in the 50s, he could walk into a factory, and if he didn't like it, he could say, I don't like this job, and next day, as a toolmaker, as a skilled man, he could get another job in Birmingham, and in a space of 5 days, he could get 5 jobs and just stay at the one he liked. It's easy as that.
The exhibition attracted a great deal of visitors and prompted some interesting reactions.
The modern way of manufacturing tends to lead to a lack of pride, I suppose, in what you're producing.
I suppose we've got a tendency to think of the British car industry as having collapsed or died. It hasn't actually collapsed or died. It's just changed. It's part of a dynamic economic environment. In the old days, we tended to talk about designs of British cars, and people often used to be very patriotic about the cars they would buy. But what's actually happened now is that we've had a turnaround, and although the cars themselves are being produced by foreign manufacturers, there is still a British car industry. It's just that the ownership has changed.
The personal effort and willingness to overcome challenges has led to some having a fresher outlook on their own lives.
Highlighted quite a lot of things for me, that people from all different walks of life can get on together and learn together, and it's most rewarding. I've enjoyed it immensely.
It's helping me a lot today in my work life, in my personal life as well. So I think when this project finished, I'm probably going to be a very different person.
It is a kind of quiet education, if you like.
You give something to other people. It's very important.
It certainly gel people together. It informs people and it gives you a better understanding about one another and give you a better understanding and appreciation of the people that's gone before us and the things they had to experience.
One legacy of the Brough Project is that a community can organise and deliver a worthwhile project that feeds back into the community a positive, informative and valuable resource for the future. 2011 sees the project develop further into fundraising and exploring new avenues for exhibition. The learning continues as new members join the team and funding is sourced.
I think that it's a really special experience that the work that the volunteers have put in will be given back to the people of Nottingham in the end. It's a community project and it's going to be returned to the community of Nottingham as a whole through the exhibition and through the car.
The whole aspect of the project has just given me so much pleasure and enjoyment.